is Wednesday. Wednesday, just in case you might have lost track. Today we have Bryan Cohen, and we're going to talk about Blurbology. Where are you coming to us from, Bryan?
I am here in rainy Chicago, here in the Midwest. Shout out to everyone in the Midwest US here. Um, and while it seems like maybe me being in my office slash my daughter's room as a result of isolation, this is actually always where I do this kind of recording.
Nice, nice. I would have thought something a little, well, if you're in your daughter's room, no wonder you have a backdrop that may not say, I am
Yeah, let's
the
see. We have
Amazon,
some.
I am the blurb guru.
There are some nice children's books in the corner
Yes,
there.
yes, yes. Good, good. But there you are. So last week you ran the Amazon Ads Challenge, which is no
Yes.
cost for participants. Last word I saw was 4,500, but you said it bumped up a little bigger than that.
Oh, yeah. It ended up being around 6,600 people participated. Oh, it was so fun. If anyone, I mean, I see Lawrence in here. I think he was a part of it, possibly. Then again, there's lots of Lawrences. If anyone participated in the challenge, feel free to say, "Hey, I was there," because it was a ton of fun. I mean, you and I are cut from the same cloth on this. We love sharing free things and giving people what they need, or you wouldn't even be doing this show here at 6 a.m. your time. It's
That's right.
really great.
And that was just free, just a challenge, like almost like a nano remo for Amazon Ads, right? Kind of like, hey, everybody try this. You do a little separate thing. You said 8,000 posts in
Yeah,
the group.
there were 8,000 posts, 40,000 comments, 70,000 reactions in a
Nice.
2 week span. And a big hey to Steven and Lawrence, who said they were there. Craig looks like he might have gotten a little bit delayed, but I'm still here. So I'll say hey to Elaine, Hal, D, everybody else. And if Craig said he's got two different kinds of internet here, so there is a chance that he's going to have to switch back and forth between them. But I am here, so you don't have to worry. And it's really nice to see all of you, JD, Lauren, etc. Hey, if you're going to freeze, I think he's just about back here. Craig, I think you're here now. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
delightful.
This is welcome to living back of the beyond. So in the middle of Alaska, I'm just happy to have internet. But then you get spoiled when
Mm-hmm.
it works too well for too long, and then it
Oh,
reminds you where you live and says, "No, you're not going to get internet right now." So yes, we have two different systems in order to get internet. One is spendy, but it's a
mm-hmm.
lot more reliable. And the other one is a total bargain and works most of the time. But these shows, it jumps in and out at an unfortunate rate. When you're just surfing the internet, who cares? I mean, that has actually helped my productivity. Hey, it's down. Go back, write,
Mm-hmm.
work on your story, and then come on back. Sometimes I get frustrated. I go to the spendy internet and to finish a newsletter and stuff like that, because if it crashes in the middle, that's tragic. But we're
You
back.
know, you
We're
know the
here.
bargain thing has me thinking, Craig. So the bargain thing has me thinking about um, conversion rate, which is how many clicks it takes for someone to buy your book or to read it cover to cover on Kindle Unlimited. Some people leave that out, but Kindle Unlimited, not Monopoly money, real money.
Yeah.
Um, and there, when you do a promotion, you run ads, you see, hey, the it's not converting well enough for me to make a profit. Like we were saying, the profit. There are obviously things you could do. Go out there, buy a $500 beautiful cover. That's the non-bargain way. That's the spendy internet way. But
Yeah.
then we have the bargainy things, which are changing a subtitle, getting some more reviews, tweaking the book description. These are things you can do that are like the budget friendly way to try to improve your conversion rate.
And that's a great answer. The blurb, the blurb sells the book. It's nice when people say, "Hey, I bought the book just for the cover." That's cool. That's not the norm. The norm is you convince them to buy the book with the put that checkbook away. There's more. And I mean, because Chicago was Stanley 92700 or whatever the carpet cleaner place was, because they always ran ads on WGN. I mean, 10 times a day for years, and and making that hook. That's the hook that then gets the people to buy. And especially if they don't have to read more. A lot of people do read more, and that's fine. But we're talking the majority. Anything to hedge your bet to make that sale. Because every time somebody clicks, I think you lose like 30% of your audience through each series of clicks. So if you make them click 5 times to buy a book, you're going to lose people. But if you can one-click buy, here's the picture that brought them to your Amazon product page. Here's the blurb, the part above the fold, and then and then a one-click buy is just right there. Unless the reader, the buyer, is in KU, and then their one-click buy is actually read for free, so it's a KU purchase. So that is what you're working with. If you're wide, it'll just be one-click buy, have a nice day. Yep. So setting that hook. What is? Do you have some examples, or do you want to talk about what is that top line? What does that bolded engagement look like?
Sure. Well, Stephanie has the great question of the tagline. Where does it go? What is it? So the tagline, the hook, the log line, it really doesn't matter what you call it. I refer to any of those terms as the first thing people see on your blurb. The first thing people see, and it can go, sure, on your back cover, though I'm dubious of how many people are reading back covers of books these days. Most of them are reading the online description. And I like how Hal J has the Stanley Steamer hook here in the comments. But the hook is the thing that has to do a lot of heavy lifting, right? It has to tell a reader of that genre, hey, this is the genre you like. So if it's a fantasy hook, it has to convey, yes, this is a fantasy book. It has to have high stakes. I like to refer to a hook as a sentence or a series of sentences with the stakes of death, love, or enlightenment. And enlightenment, really, that's memoir and literary fiction. For the most part, it's death or love. Craig, most of the genres you peddle in, it's going to be death. What could happen to this main character?
I have to tell you, my very best tagline in my science fiction series is a cat and his human minions, ... That's it. So I don't have the consequences, but everybody who has a cat understands what the consequences are, that you could die. The chances, even with your little domestic cat, the chances of it killing you are not zero. So anyway, a cat and his human minions, and that converts the blurb, the subtitle is.
There's my cat.
There you are, a separate bed for your cat.
I know. We're so posh.
You're so urban. You're so Chicago urban. A subtitle. I changed the subtitle as off we do. I know some people are really put off when you put, and it's not keyword loading. It's setting the reader expectations. A science fiction space adventure, or just a space adventure, and that as the subtitle, so people know exactly what they're getting into. Dave Chesson's heat map showed that they didn't spend a lot of time looking at the subtitle. They didn't spend a lot of time looking at the title. They went from the cover over to that top line hook.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Or the tagline or whatever, and then a little bit of time the rest of the above the fold. But the vast majority of buyers spent time on that top line of the blurb.
Yeah. Now I think you've gotten a nice rule break on your most popular hook, kind of
Yeah.
the bathos of the kind of you assume there's going to be high consequences and there aren't. For most of us, I will say, don't go out there. I remember when Adam Croft had his big would you murder your wife to save your daughter hook for her last tomorrow. Everyone tried to exactly copy that hook. A
Yeah.
second
Yeah.
person, would you do this to, would you feed your cat to save your dog? You know, they
Yeah.
just would copy that. But it's not about necessarily copying. I always talk about playing the percentages. And
Yeah.
percentage wise, having those high stakes.
Yeah.
But what I like to mix them with, we're doing a cocktail here. We're doing a 6 a.m., 7 a.m. cocktail. This is my bad improv mime work here. I'm shaking a thing. I'm shaking a cocktail shaker here. Here, this actually almost looks like a cocktail shaker. So we'll go with that. But we're making the cocktail here because it can't just be some dude's going to die if he doesn't save the world. There needs to be kind of the want. What does this guy want? Because we like characters because they want something. I run into this with a lot of people with procedurals or mystery, where they're just like so excited about the bad guy that they don't even give their character any agency. And it's just like, oh, it's just Detective Bob, but look at this murderer. And so they would be smart to take that hook to make it the character wants something, something is in his way. What are the death or love or enlightenment consequences if he doesn't get it?
Yeah. That's the
And that's the
description of the hero's
formula.
journey.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Where
if
you
you
have
can
that.
convey that in 149 characters or less, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes. Yeah. And if you can set that hook with 8 characters or 9 characters, or 9 words, would you kill your wife to save your daughter? A great hook from Adam Croft. Yes, people copied it. People have copied some of Mark Dawson's hooks. And
Yes.
hey, it's worth a shot, but you're going to find that yours isn't converting because you also have to have a little bit of uniqueness. Another one of my blurbs that actually converts well that I didn't like, but hey, it converts well, is they say behind every great man is a great woman, but what if that woman is a werewolf? Question mark.
That's a
So
fun
so
one.
so it sets up the dilemma. It sets up and that is the entirety of the series. That's now I'm working on the 19th and final book in that series right now.
Mm-hmm.
But those
That's
kinds of
really creative.
the hooks, and the one thing we do is bold italic for that top line on all of
Mm-hmm.
our hooks, and that helps. I think that helps immensely with the conversions.
I think so too. You bring attention to it. There's you brought up the maxim of the 30% rule of every click is going to lose 30% of people. There's an old copywriting rule. You'll lose 80% of 80% of people stop reading after the first line. So that first line better be amazing. So I will say, and I know we have a question here. The what the character wants and what's in their way, I refer to that as the conflict. And
Okay.
then the death, love, or enlightenment stakes at the end, which in love is will they or won't they? In death, it's, can they save the world? Will they have to sacrifice their lives to save the world?
Yeah.
That's the cliffhanger. So I like to say conflict plus cliffhanger equals hook, just to keep it as simple as possible for
Okay.
y'all.
There you go. You have the formula to
Mm-hmm.
create magic. And it's we make light, but it's something to play with. And like Bryan said, it costs you nothing to change your blurb every single day if you want to, if you're just looking for something that might resonate. Now you need to give it a few days to populate across all the servers and get some feedback from, oh, hey, sales have gone up, they have gone down.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming you're doing exactly the same thing as you were yesterday, change one thing
Which
and
is an
observe.
interesting assumption to make because
Yeah,
there's so many factors, but I'm with you. I'm with you.
it's still, you try to change what you can control, just one thing, and you watch it for a few days and see how it resonates. Another thing to do is you take your blurb and you throw it into a Facebook ad. So now you're targeting an audience and you've got that tagline, and see how it resonates. There's different ways to check that. And the question is, does it go on the cover, above the fold, or just the cover?
Yeah. Now I would say it goes everywhere. Like my friend Chris Fox, he has talked to me about when he found his hook for one of his series, he used it everywhere. Used it on his blurb, used it on his back cover, used it on his ads. This is why I said the 149 character rule, because Amazon ad copy has 149 characters or less.
Yeah.
Use it on your Facebook, use it wherever. Now, you probably want to wait for you to know and have some data that it is very good. But once you get the thing, I know we talked about Adam Croft. I know Adam spent tens of thousands of dollars on ads with that hook. It should go everywhere. Really, when you have a good one, it should go everywhere. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think I'm up to $15,000 or $20,000 on ads with a cat and his human minions. And that being
That's
said,
awesome.
I've made 100,000 off that series. So yeah, we'll go with that. It works. And I didn't come up with that. That was actually Michael Scott Earl who was poking fun at me, and
Mm-hmm.
like 4 years ago. And I'm like, hey, that kind of works. And people were like, I think so. So I ran an ad. And I'm like, holy shit! Look
Mm-hmm.
at these people buying my book. I love you, people. So so playing with it and working with it, because clearly that wasn't the first blurb. I used it for a while. I'm like, hey, time to freshen things up. No, don't freshen things up if you're getting good sales, because I guarantee to tank your sales is to have a bad blurb.
Can I
So,
please follow up on that, Craig?
oh
Because
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
man, I yeah, I mean, the blurbs I've looked at over time, the people I've worked with over time, tanking your sales when you try to change a blurb that's already working drives me crazy because the number, I believe it was first mentioned by Mr. Brian Meeks, who I lovingly refer to as Meeksy. I think that Meeksy was the first one to say about a 10 click to 1 sale or cover to cover KU read is a pretty good ratio
Yep.
in most cases, unless you have a really, really tiny book, or you're priced at 99 cents as a standalone, you're going to
Yeah.
make a profit at 10 clicks or fewer. And I've had folks say, okay, my blurb is converting at 3-1. I'm going to try to change it. And I just that's when I bust out the all caps, you guys. That's when I say,
Do not.
no, don't change that, please. And this is why the data is so key, and knowing how to find the data is so key. If you have a book that is already converting well and you might not even know is making you money hand over fist, do not change anything, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
Got a
I'm a
nice
big
question.
fan on that. I'm a big fan of one line left to right. I'm not sure exactly the number of characters that fit. If you do
Mm,
H3 or H4, Dave Chesson said they no longer allow H3, but I've used H3 and it does work. It's a little bit bigger font, just like 14 or something, but I'm not sure exactly how many characters fits across a single line
that's
on
a really
on
good question.
a computer screen. So I
I
know.
can tell you how much fits on a H2 because I'm still getting away with some H2 on my side,
Oh, geez, okay.
but I know not everybody is. I'll find that out while you ask me that question.
Okay. Okay. But I'm a fan of the top one. And once again, I'm going off the pure data of the heat map, which showed only the top line. So whatever you can fit in the
Mm,
top line, however big you make it, I think H4 as in your formatting in your HTML coding is exactly the same font, but it's bolded, and I think it's all caps or something. It sets it out that way. H3 header 3 setting in HTML is one font size bigger. So that makes it stand apart. I really like H3. I'm sorry that they're doing away with it, but as of right now, it's still working. So H3, throw that baby up there, and then you get about 3 more lines of regular block paragraph text before you hit the read more. So that is your exploitation space.
So H2 is about 55 characters. I'm looking for an H3 to from your backlist to see one that's all the way to the filled,
left
and
to right.
We'll take a look at that.
Okay.
I'm sure we've got more fun to share.
You bet. Hang on just a second.
Yeah, no problem. And Stephen had asked
H3 79 characters on H3.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. So between 55 and 79 characters, depending on what header you're using. But Stephen had asked, seeing people with 3 lines, 2 lines, 1 line, it's what converts. Do 20 lines if it converts. I don't care. It's a matter of the data. Like, I've had people that I've written a description for, and they come back and they say, I like yours, but it doesn't convert as well. And then I'll say, great, let me rewrite it, because or go back to the old one. It doesn't matter what you like. It doesn't matter if a pro wrote it. It doesn't matter. What matters is, what are your readers showing you by virtue of your numbers? So I don't think there's one magical formula that does it all. It would be really funny if I'm like, well, there's one magical formula that does it all, and I'm the one who does it. But that's no way the case, and that is my actual voice, just so you know. But this is me faking it. But you really have to know your numbers inside and out, so that you don't break something that ain't broke.
Yeah. And the conversion, you as a pro have written hundreds and hundreds of blurbs of product descriptions for people. And so you have an idea, because you look at all those numbers, you have an idea of what converts better, but it's still, you aren't 100% guaranteed, and nobody is. You change it. And this is what I was talking about with being able to change your blurb every 3 days if you want. Now here's an important safety tip for new authors out there. You can go into your Author Central and change your blurb. You can copy in new HTML block. You'll accept it, and then you'll go back and it'll show that it's not changed. That's okay. But understand, if you have a price change or anything on that book, it'll go back to whatever's in KDP and not changed on Author Central. So when you want to change your blurb and possibly keep it, and I hope you want to keep your blurb unless you keep track of every blurb you've ever used for a book, which isn't a bad idea, because I do a metadata sheet for every book, but I don't always keep all the blurbs. You need to change it in KDP, and then it will stay changed. If you change it in Author Central, it won't stay changed. If something happens and the system resets, it resets to whatever's in KDP. So just an important safety tip that we have probably all learned that hard way, that, fuck, I changed this blurb. It was an excellent blurb, and I can't remember it. Shit, and it's the old one that sucks. Yeah, so don't do that. Do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
Hang on. We got a math question. You love math questions. You and Brian Meeks.
So Judith asked 3-to-1 when I was talking about 3-to-1 conversion rate. That means for every 3 clicks, you get 1 sale. I was trying to get the 1 into the frame. You get 1 sale or 1 page-to-page KU read, which
1 borrow.
Craig, I know you've talked to Amazon about a fair number of times. Do you have any idea why they hide sneakily deep within the ecosystem how many KU pages are in a book. Like, why do people have to like have a degree in Amazonology to even find their number of pages?
Well, that one actually, you can go to Book Report and it'll copy and it'll tell you your pages if you go through your books. That's easy.
Sure.
But
number of pages in one book.
yeah, that's what I mean. They have your KENP because you go to the books tab of Book Report and it'll tell you this book, the KENP for an ebook. So it's what I'm really what I question them every single time I talk to them. Whenever I have a one-on-one, is when can we get KU borrows included, because it affects the book rank. So on an AMS ad or any kind of sales platform, we interpolate the page reads, which could happen that day or a year later. So you have to guess based on the book's rank. And I had good sales on a book. It jumped up to 1,600 in rank this week. And but they weren't that good. I'm like, okay, so I have to interpolate. 1,600 sales should be, 80 sales, 100 sales, something like that. And then, okay, I only had this many, so I must have had 60 or 80 borrows because those are weighted. I don't know if those are weighted 1-to-1. So and I ask them every single time, can we get a borrow? Because obviously, because you changed the book rank. So obviously, there was a borrow. Obviously, there's a buy because somebody paid for it. So just add those numbers up, and for God's sake, just tell us, hey, and then we could say, hey, we are accessing the KU market at this rate. I have 4 borrows for every 1 buy, and then additional data, because data is good, is when do they stop reading before they turn it back in? That would be such a critical thing. Well, 80% of your readers stopped at page 47. Well, let me read page 46 and see what the hell happened. Oh, killed the dog. Okay, cool. And you're looking at page reads just because you got big volume and thinking, okay, they're down a little bit, but I'm getting good. No, you just lost 80% of your readership and you don't know it. And that is, I mean, come on, we're businesses. We kind of need the business data that they have. So those kinds of things, that's one thing that every single time I ask for the same things. Can KU borrow showed up like part of your ACOS, that here's total books sold and borrowed? And then when do they turn it back in? How far do they read? And what does that look like? So those kinds of things I ask for every time, and we're not getting it. So anyway,
Let me tell you what I do. Because you can do the guess on the sales rank thing for sure. And that is one way to do it. What I do is I look to see, all right, how many pages are in this book? It's like 400. Great. Which you can find on Book Report. Apparently, I've never played with it. But I have Book Report, but I've never played with seeing the number of pages on each one. So thank you for that information, Craig.
Sure.
But if you don't have Book Report, which many people don't, you can kind of sneak into your promotions. You go to your bookshelf, click on your advertise and promotions link for that book on your bookshelf. Then in the bottom left corner, right next to that like pie sign from that movie with Sandra Bullock and Dennis Miller, it's about the dark web. The pie sign's right next to that, I swear. But it'll tell you your book's 400 pages. And then even though it's not a perfect system because people read on day 5 after borrowing a book, day 10, day 15, whatever, I say, all right, I got 100 clicks. What's my conversion rate? I see, okay, I got 8 sales during this month. Well, how many pages read did I get? And I look and it says 800 pages read for the month. All right, 800 divided by 400 is 2. So I add the 2 to the 8 to get 10. And I say, okay, 100 divided by 10, that is 10. So my conversion rate is 10. I Wish the Net. Yes, that was the name of that movie. I couldn't remember it for the moment, but that is how I do my guesstimation. I don't think there's any perfect guesstimation system with Amazon ads, but that one in particular has been helpful for me.
Well, from a macro level, that's actually the only way to do it. You just look at the total number. And that's, once again, I go back to book report. They give you, here's total number of borrows based on total page reads divided by KENP count. And that gives you a number. You know, are people reading 27 copy equivalents of your book a day, and you're selling 10? Hey, nice. You got 37. What's your spend? And once a book's been out for a couple weeks, now I'm considering that roll, and that's how I do the calculation too, because it's really the only possible way we can. But again, it's at a macro level. It's not today. What did we change the blurb today? And in 3 days, you're going to have page reads that have nothing to do with that blurb change. But are you seeing an increase? So you have to interpolate. I get 3 borrows for every 1 sale. So, and this is over time. You have to guesstimate your. So much data, so much guessing when we really shouldn't have to guess. But it's the world we live in. So we got to play the hand we're dealt. And improving those. That's one thing you can see directly. I went from 5 sales a day to 10. The only thing I did different was the blurb. And this is one thing, when you see that, you jump on it, you embrace it, you hold it, you give it some love, you pat it a little bit, and you wish it good things as it goes forward without fucking with it. Lawrence has a question.
So Lawrence asks about editing an existing ad. This is another one of the things I don't love. It must just be the way the ad platform is set up.
Yeah.
If you want to do different custom text on an Amazon ad, you need to create a new ad. It's a pain. You can edit everything else, your budget, your bid, your keywords.
Yep.
You can edit everything else, but not the custom text. So sorry about that, Lawrence.
Yeah. And then when you start a new ad, sometimes you risk its penetration into the market, and sometimes you improve its penetration into its market. How Amazon takes that ad, people have done the exact same ad twice, and one will run away, and the other one will sit there dormant looking. So it's okay. Kill the dormant one, keep the other one, and this is things that if you're actively engaged with your ads to improve your sales, and this is investment in time, and there's other ways. Bryan runs a course on ads. Mark Dawson runs the gold standard for ads, and that'll open up in June. But these kinds of things, as well as I think Brian Meeks has a book, Ads for Authors, Amazon Ads for Authors. There's all different kinds of ways. Plus 20 Books has little hints and tips and things that you can try. Understand there's going to be a cost. Usually Amazon does not spend all of the money you allocate against it. So on my ads, I have like $49.99 a day, and they never spend anywhere near that. And let's say almost never. I had a book series that I ran, my Cat and Human Minions. I put together a box set, and I ran it. It was selling great, but then I got a BookBub feature deal on it, and I did a Discover feature on it, and so I ran this huge promo campaign over the course of a week. So sales jumped way up and stayed steady high for a week. Well, what did Amazon do? They said, hey, we have a book that's selling. Oh, here's an ad for that book. And they jacked that baby up and spent my full amount for like 3 days because they said, hey, and Amazon rewards success. Just understand that. So if you have a book that's converting and selling, Amazon will say, hey, people are buying this. We want to make money. We get our 30% cut. So let's push stuff that is already selling. So if you wonder, hey, my book never sells, why isn't Amazon pushing it? Well, there's your answer. So they bumped it up, and all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, I ran through my 10 days worth of ad money in 2 days. And so I saw that. I backed it down a little bit, but then it started tapering off, and then it stayed steady. It's okay, but just understand. So be engaged with your ads, but blurbs. We're here to talk blurbs.
I think we keep coming back to ads because they're just so intermingled. To be able to know if a blurb is doing well, it's helpful to run ads. You can use pieces of your blurb as ad copy. Like, I tend to do this, Craig. I will make things harder and more complicated than they need to be. And so if you have a good hook that is converting, use it everywhere. If you have a piece of your book description that really resonates with you and that maybe even people quote somewhere, like you share it with your list and they say, wow, that line was really spoke to me. You can use that as
Yeah.
an ad copy, or you can double down on that in your blurb. You don't always have to create something from scratch. You can recycle, reuse. There's no reason you can't.
And keep in mind that if you send out a newsletter, and when people plot this line really spoke to me, that use that in your ads and recycle that. I once had a 1-star review that was awesome, and I threw it in there. It's like so much swearing, like author is a heathen. I'm like, oh great! So I quoted that, and that was my ad. And that was one of my best ads ever. Yes, author is a heathen. He swears. He's a retired Marine. It's okay, and that converted well. But the question: do you have a metadata spreadsheet? How I organize my stuff is I have my series in a folder, subfolders for each book in that series, and within that books folder, I have my first draft, edited drafts, my covers, some ad graphics. I have I just use a Word doc. I write everything in Word. I use a Word doc that is the metadata. It says, here's the title, here's the subtitle, here are the authors, here's the series name, so I can copy paste that to make sure it's identical. As long as you're identical on your series name, now Amazon must have fixed that algorithm, because I'm seeing it within 1 day, 2 days on new books and series. It instantly gets added. Even on pre-order, they're showing up. It's way cool. It's like it should have always been. So that's happening now. And the metadata makes sure that happens, because I just copy. Here's the new one. I try a blurb. I go into Dave Chesson's description generator. I type it in there and make sure it's what I like. I click, convert, generate, and I take that HTML, I copy, paste it in, and then ad copy. If I do separate, I try to paste it in below. Here's Amazon ad copy that I've tried, as well as sometimes I'll have one-liner hooks that I'll try, and I copy that all into that metadata Word document, because it's just a copy paste. Working text stuff in Excel doesn't really work that great because of the cell constraints and things like that. So I just I use Excel for all of the number data and crunching, and I manage some huge accounts with that stuff. So I see all the data and I see how it can be calculated. And at the end of the month, Amazon provides you, the 15th of the next month, provides you with everything related. It breaks down. Here's what countries are buying your book. Here's what things, and it gives you the time frame that those sales happen too. So this is where you can go back and retroactively look, the blurb, here's this promotion, here's what happened on that day of a promotion, instead of having to interpolate. And you can use that to map your way forward for promotion campaigns, for ads, for just understanding what's working and what's resonating.
Greg, how would you feel if I asked people to paste in the first line of their book description and I gave them feedback on it live?
Oh, live? Sure.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Roll the dice, take your chances, bitches.
And it'll be rapid fire. I'll just give one suggestion and we can move on down the line. So feel free to paste in.
That has worked well at the 20 book shows. You and Chris Fox have done that a couple times, and that live feedback, because a lot of people say, "Geez, not me. I'm not going to," and that's okay. But you see people that dive up there and say, "Hey, here's mine. Oh, that's kind of like mine," and then you and Chris dissect it and say, "Oh, your cover says this, your blurb says this." That dichotomy isn't working. So your cover and your blurb, like you said initially, your blurb needs to be aligned with your genre. So you can't have a fantasy cover and then all of a sudden your blurb says, death in the salt marshes of Scotland, and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, we have our
above the ground victim. He's an outcast. Below ground, he's a warrior. That's part 1 and 2. I need part 3. What are the consequences? But when he does something, what's going to kill him? I want to know. So that's my feedback.
The war is ongoing. There's a big fight.
Let's keep going
Next.
A well-written, dark captive romance with twists and turns that will keep you on the edge of your seat. I've seen these. If it converts for you, go with it. This is something I'd usually include about 2/3 the way down the blurb when people are on the fence. I'd love the hook here instead, but if you would rather keep with this and it converts well, keep with it. If not, go with more of a character, conflict, cliffhanger hook.
Next.
Getting in the rhythm now. Her mother's scheme with a duke as cold as the devil could transform Celine from a housemaid to a duchess in a matter of days. I notice these sometimes. If Celine is the main character, it needs to be about Celine and from Celine's POV rather than people doing things to her. I think that's going to help take that in a stronger direction.
Party on.
Party down.
Oh, hang on. Misclick.
That's okay. I'm Blaine Thorne, and they tell me I'm an assassin, but I just can't remember. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I've seen these first-person ones. I would still see if you want to test it out, but I just can't remember. And remembering's the only thing that'll keep me above the ground, sort of thing. Like, I'd love that extra little bit there.
And that implication is that this book is going to be about Blair finding out what that means and how do they act on it. So good hook.
Would you like to have Thanksgiving without yelling at your uncle about politics? Good. For nonfiction, it's this is what I would call the first part. What is the problem? The problem is you have these political dinners. You need to frame your book as the solution. Discover the 3-step plan to having peace and no politics at dinner.
There we go. A little nonfiction help.
She aspires to be Indiana Jones, but she's more like Bridget Jones until she finds the Inca steps. We need something with Inca steps. Deadly Inca steps, cursed Inca steps. And we'd really like to end in a Latinate way with our strongest word, our strongest concept, death, kill, blood, whatever.
The bloody Inca steps.
The bloody Inca steps. How would you choose to live if you knew your days were numbered? Here's what I say. This is the problem with the second person ones, Craig. This could be nonfiction. I don't know. And that's what needs to change. It needs to be very clear what genre this is.
Yeah. I mean, the cover may give you some hint at that, but it's still, if people bounced off the cover and went to that, they might get a little bit of confused. And yeah, I can see that. Next one.
Murder, betrayal, magic. Only one knight takes up his hammer to hunt a killer concealed. Ooh, I like the phrase, a killer concealed. Can Dunwall's quest for the truth save a city's soul? So it's very close. Like, it's a little long. It's not going to fit in H3, certainly. But the thing that holds it back, it's a little too coy. Hunt a killer concealed. Quest for the truth. Save a city's soul. And if this is the tone of the book, I understand. But I think it needs to be a little more tangible of, well, what is saving a city's soul? Is it going to keep people in the city from getting killed? Is it going to stop them from, going to hell later on? I would love a little more tangible consequences.
How about if we take one night and move that to the next below that city's soul? Take that section and make it like the start of the second paragraph, so it'll still be above the fold, but it won't be that first hook part.
Yeah, I think that would save some space there for sure.
Let's go next one.
Supernatural powers destroyed the world. Now they're trying to save it. Not bad. It's just when we don't at least name check, and not even by naming them, but we don't at least kind of hint at a character, we run into trouble. I've had folks submit blurbs and info to me, and they say, well, all 5 of these main characters are the same amount of important. I'm like, that's fine, but very difficult to convey in a blurb. I would love it if we had one person at least stand out here. And I like the reversal of the world's already destroyed. They're trying to save it, but I just really want to know who they are and what they want. The all-important they.
They need more fairies, clearly.
Mm-hmm. Magic is real. Fairies are a-holes. And everyone typo there, knows about it but me. It feels like it's got that comedy angle in there, but you're not always going to be as magic as Craig Martelle with his cats and minions. If the funny thing converts, keep it. If it doesn't, try to include the funny, but have stronger consequences at the end there. For our consideration, for the Academy. To save her sister, Adelaide must betray her family and trust her sworn enemy. It might just cost her soul. Pretty good. I would give that a B, B plus. It might just cost her soul. I had that tiny mental hesitation of it wanting to be a double her there. It might just cost her soul versus it might just cost her soul. You might just need to like very tiny playing with it. But good consequences, good death stakes there, good what she wants there. It's very, very, very close in my opinion.
You heard it here. Good death steaks. Those go on the grill, and they're made from cows.
Death steak. Grill it up there. He lost the love of his life. She's never found a man worth fighting for. Can they something to find love? So that's part 1. Part 2, we need part 3. And for what it's worth, in romance, I usually tend to put the female POV first because of female readers identifying more with the female protagonist. This is fun, Craig. Are you having fun?
Good advice. Oh, yeah. Always learn a lot. I love doing these. I mean, very selfishly, because I get to learn a bunch of shit from smart people.
That's what I'm here for. Go to war or go to jail. Once again, it's like I can't tell the genre. Like, it's interesting, and I'm intrigued by it, certainly. But intrigue isn't always enough. I'd love to have it be like Bob just discovered his family's deep secret, but diving deeper might give him an impossible choice. Go to war or go to jail. And I would probably flip it. Go to jail or go to war. That gives it some
This is a
momentum.
Military sci-fi book. And I think that converts well when paired with the cover. So I would like to see more data on that, because you can interpolate some of that from the cover, and that's one thing we're denied here is we don't see the cover as part of the blurb. That cover is very, very mech sci-fi. So if you get that, it's like okay. Now it's
ignore me if your book is converting. Don't change anything if the book is giving you a lot of profit. There's no need. Save it for the next blurb you write. A forbidden love, an alien invasion, and a girl who holds the key. Very good. It's very classic, like the blurb hook I used to teach, because it's these 3 tiny sentences. But I'd love to know, and a girl who holds the key to saving humanity. Or what are the stakes? I want to know the stakes. And it's very close, though. Another like solid B.
A night of passion.
A friend's missing sister. I don't know why it's in quotes. Just, you might be doing that because it's like, I'm quoting from the blurb. If it's, I wouldn't put it in quotes in the blurb. A friend's missing sister might be the one thing that will blow her off course. That feels like it's a second part of something, like blow her off course of what? And just to say, like, I try to avoid things that could be taken as double entendre by a sick person reading this. Not that I'm a sick person. Not that Craig's a sick person. But
12-year-old, but not a sick person.
Try to leave those out. What happens when a washed up, blacklisted, alcoholic, but still handsome former action star signs a contract for medical experiments with a sinister race of alien machine intelligences? All right. Too long. You might already know that from us talking about that, Lawrence. But funny, this is an interesting thing we haven't covered yet. Number of syllables in words is actually fairly important in advertising copy and hooks. Intelligences. Whoop. That's 5 syllables there. We like to end with something harder, stronger, and something more clear. Intelligences is a little, washy, and ending with that S ending kind of flows us out, but we want to hit them hard with a T or a D, something that really leaves a mark there. Shorten, end it shorter.
End it with 5-syllable words. Lawrence, you're showing your PhD to the world, man.
I know, right? A slave with forbidden magic. A charismatic, revolutionary. That was a 6. That's a 6 syllable. A charismatic rebel. Let's keep it at that. The fate of an empire hangs in the balance. See, I don't mind the empire thing, but I love to tie it to the character. His next move might just decide the fate of an empire versus, like, Craig, there are no fewer than 100,000 books on Amazon with empires in them. But if we connect it up with a character that we're like really enjoying or that we want to find out more about, that empire has a lot more oomph. You'd think, oh, an empire has millions of people. Of course, that's a big deal. But it's a bigger deal when it's connected up with personal stakes.
Yeah. Let me actually pull one of mine that I did as well. Thanks. Here we go. Next one.
The Martelle Empire. Walk or die. That is what we are taught. Is it nonfiction? I don't know, because of it being so, even having taught in there. It's either going to be nonfiction or dystopian. Like, that is what we are taught. And first person plural is a little funky with the we, a little funky for the blurb. I'm a big fan of third. If you're going to go first person, probably go singular. But this just needs to be a little more clear across the board, and it needs some stakes. I would love walk or die at the end, because it ends with die. And I love me some die at the end of a book description.
The death stakes. Huge fan of the death stakes. You're seeing them right there.
They're sizzling, Craig.
My blurb in H3 or H4. And this is a book released Monday. Sales are great because I've got great read-through on this series. The Singularity enters the Federation. Singularity and Federation are both capitalized. So the Singularity enters the Federation. Its citizens are AIs.
Definitely, it's an intrigue hook. I think that, once again, ignore me because of the sales being well, but let's say this was a hook of a book that wasn't selling well.
Yeah.
Or a hook of a book that you thought had more potential. 3-1, don't change it. 9-1, maybe consider it. I would love one little bit at the end, and if we have to shorten something earlier to fit it in the 79 characters, I would love, but one AI is about to take over. Like, I would love it if we bring it back to the protagonist if we can, or one of the protagonists, especially the one that has the most potential to impact the story universe.
Yeah, and on this one, it's book 9 in a series. So this is the whole build-up from the first 8 books. Book 6 was very specifically about AIs. So this is a counter. I'll play with that blurb throughout its life cycle. But this is also one of those things that You don't start with book 9, not in this series. You can start book 6. I rewrote as a standalone to make it competitive for the dragon, to be a dragon finalist. And I think it's doing really well. I actually think it's going to make the dragon finalist for best science fiction novel of the year. But that one is a book 9. So there are some additional factors in play here. Will it sell the people who read book 8 who might be on the fence? And now book 8, I mean, I do get great reviews on this series. So people who read book 8 are probably going to read book 9. But if I can hedge that bet from 85 and 90% to 90 or 95, that's what it is. Because I want them to get into the book and start reading. The rest of the blurb explains. But these are the things that I take into account. But the leaving it open, and part of my style in writing is the implication. Here are these 2 things that set this up, or 3 things, and what do you see next? I'm sure, like a cat and its human minions, it's all the implications of what is the. So I may be able to start trying what is the consequences, which I do leave off because I let people come up with those. So that's something I appreciate that feedback. It's something that I can tweak and add as an extra chance on the metadata to give a try.
And if it doesn't work, you can always roll it on back.
That's right. That's right.
We got this one already. I remember Revolutionary. Who do you hire to save innocent women from monstrous men? You find a man the monsters fear. This is like another second person. It's very intriguing. I like it. I just worry about second person because it's like, oh, is this going to be a directory of people you hire to stop monstrous men? Love the second part. I'd be interested to see how it converts. If it does not convert, we would want to throw some consequences at the end. It's a very like Jack Reacher fantasy kind of thing. Like he's the dude you call. So would be really interested to see conversion numbers, but it probably, if it isn't converting, it needs a little extra massaging.
We'll do a couple more. So we've been at this for almost an hour. Thanks for your time, Bryan. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Hal said, what if you took a bunch of bred to the bone city kids and shanghaied them to a sleepy little village at the end of the galaxy? I like the incorporation of the word galaxy here because it shows the genre, which is nice. And we want to show the genre. Craig, that was one of the strengths of your hook. It absolutely showed the genre. It bore its genre colors. They were loud and proud. But I'm getting stuck on Shanghai because it's very slangy. I'm getting stuck on bred to the bone. It's a little slangy and it's long. And it's like a longer concept for people to think. I would simplify it. Like, what if you took a bunch of spoiled city kids and took them to a sleepy village at the end of the galaxy? It still ain't great, but it's a little tighter. And because, once again, it's plural, it's these kids, all of whom might have the exact same amount of importance, but none of them are important in the reader's eyes yet because we don't know any of them. And you'd like to at least briefly know them in your, even in the hook.
Let me go with your bromancer.
I think there was more to this. Tapping on the guitar it must have gotten cut off because it was H3 or something.
That was See? Oh, there we go.
What are you doing? There, it has evolved. It's scrolling.
Joe, what are you doing, wow. Joe? You're killing me.
That's really fancy. I've never seen that before. If you can make your text do that on Amazon, do it, man.
Jeez, Joe, always striving for better.
So, Joe, I love you. I mean, you've been making eyes at me from the comments since we started. But what I'll say is your data really, really well. Joseph Alexander, 7-figure author here. but always looking to improve. These are two important things to connect. He's a 7-figure author who is looking to improve. I think that is something very successful authors have in common. But nonfiction, I am always looking to figure out, all right, someone is searching for this specific guitar book. They're searching for a guitar book that will help them learn jazz or learn how to take them to the next level or learn tapping seems like an extra thing here. So it's like they're trying to learn tapping for a certain reason. And then, so that's the problem they're looking to solve. Like, are you stuck with the old ways of tapping on your guitar? That's not good, but it's closer to what I'm trying to express. Discover or unlock new tactics, new techniques that will take whatever tapping is used for. You don't necessarily want to use tapping twice. That will take your skills to a whole new level. Like, solve the problem. What's the problem that people are searching for? Solve the problem.
We'll do 2 more.
Perfect.
This one I like this one. As long as the cover aligns
like
with what the genre is.
Yeah. She said yes, and now she's dead. Feels very cozy mystery to me because of the tone. And so if it is with one of those like bright and shiny cozy covers, I would imagine it would convert well, especially if you get some good reviews on it. And by good reviews, I don't necessarily mean like all 5-star. I mean, get more than 10.
Yeah.
And if you have 10, get more than 20. That's pretty good. I will say if it doesn't convert, add the consequences piece to it.
And last one.
Standing. Perfect. And to anyone who didn't get theirs answered, I'll try to drop by maybe later this week. I'll save the post and see if I can give some other feedback here. But thank you, everyone who was game. People really put themselves at risk here. I love it.
They did. Exposed. Unlike me, I am wearing pants today, thank goodness. So
Me too.
We're limiting exposure.
Exactly. The cat's naked, though. She's just...
The cat is unclothed.
Yeah, she's actually licking, so she's totally exposed. Here. All right. Standing on the edge of adulthood, Olivia should have been looking forward to her future with excitement. Instead, the tragic death of her parents hurled her full speed into Mr. Delaney's life. She was never supposed to be here with him in his house. So Judith's like, can't see me hiding under the blankets. We need to figure out, there's a lot of good here from a blurb perspective. Like this as part of the blurb itself, like part of more of the longer synopsis portion, definitely good. But this whole first sentence could probably be cut into like 5 words. Like, Alicia was ready for adulthood, but the tragic death of her parents left her empty. She never thought that whatever Mr. Delaney is, because I feel like too many specifics in a hook can be too much, too many proper nouns. She never expected her professor or her neighbor or her handsome whatever. She never expected to find herself in this, in this house. We really just need to tighten it so much in order to, because it sounds sexy. It sounds like active romance, as I've heard it referred to comedically. And we can have that in there without it having as long of a setup.
And this is one thing I've seen that's more unique to romance is that they don't have that single line hook, but they have like a full paragraph as the and a lot of romance authors and successful ones have that. Not that single one-liner hook. I mean, some do, but there's a lot. I mean, a lot that don't. And so I think that might be a genre unique kind of approach to setting the hook, because romance readers read a lot. So a catchy hook, they've probably been burned with a catchy hook in a bad book. So and they read a lot, so they're more discriminating, and so they may want to read that full paragraph. So I'm throwing that out there as an option because I've seen it a lot. I mean, if you want to if you want to improve your ad game and your conversion game, look at the people who sell the most books, and that's romance. Like, what, 67% of the whole market? It's flooded. There are so many authors in romance, and there's this group that's dominating the top. What are they doing? And that's like the thriller authors. Okay, it's hard to compare those guys because you've got James Patterson, you've got Dean Koontz. Their name alone sells their books. But look at some other folks. And you talked about a 7-figure author trying to improve. Well, how about a 10-figure author? I've seen ads by J.K. Rowling, and she changed her categories. Her number one category is now children from broken homes and foster children. And it's like, what the hell? She's going after those. This is J.K. Rowling, and she's obviously dominating those categories because she's like, the books are number 10 in the whole store still. So, but those are the categories because she was starting a different marketing campaign. These children should like to read my books, and now they've been out long enough that they may only know the Harry Potter book of movies and not necessarily the depth and breadth of the books. So a 10-figure author trying to improve with new blurbs and new engagement. So keep all of that. There's always an opportunity to improve. There's always an opportunity to make another sale and get another fan. And once you build a backlist, a new fan can go through your whole backlist. And now that's money in the bank. Even if it's KU, those are great page reads because they're money in the bank. And we like money. That is the biggest discriminator of success. If you sell a million books.
I bought coffee with KU money. They didn't turn me down. I brought the KU money to the store and I said, can I have some coffee? And they said, sure. Oh, my daughter's coming in. Hey, come here.
Hi there, sweetheart. And
you stayed in the lines with the brown one? Yeah. Nice job.
Hi, little sweetheart. We're wrapping up.
Okay.
That'll be there in a minute.
We needed a Riley appearance anyway.
Indeed.
But it was crazy. I brought in this KU money. I thought it was fake because it doesn't seem real. And they still took it. So I need everyone to remember. I see these people saying, do you know how to raise your sales? Like, I would rather get more sales than page reads. And it's like, no. Just raise everything because it's money that is valid and can be used to exchange for goods and services.
Now, one mistake I see a lot of people making, and this is big authors do this as well. I see James Patterson, I see Stephen King doing this a fair bit, is number of subjects in a sentence. The king or King, what's his name, of Rivendell goes to another place name and meets so-and-so. And what is the limit of those that you really should look at for your blurb?
That's such a great question because I see a lot of authors go beyond the limit. You have to remember the limitations of the human brain. You can only kind of keep a few things in mind, and depending on how distracted you are, you can maybe only keep one or two things in mind. So if you load up a sentence with a lot of ideas, there's a lot of commas, there's a lot of clauses, you are going to run out of that mental RAM that other people that you're trying to not fill up during the course of your blurb. And thanks to everybody who's saying my daughter is cute. She's adorable. Absolutely. But one of the things I recommend to people when they're rewriting a synopsis, try rewriting it with no more than one comma or sentence break per sentence, because if you just have too many set off clauses, you're gonna run into trouble. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't just mean take out the commas. I mean you have to rework the sentences so they're still real sentences.
Yeah. There's still real sentences. I like that. On that, make sure your blurb is a real sentence. And you see mine. A lot of times I won't put verbs in there, and just and just keep it these three elements from within the story. I like those blurbs, and we keep wickering. But understand, if you wicker and you do it through Author Central, which is very, very responsive and quick, you risk it going away if there's anything that happens on KDP, whether it's a countdown deal or anytime it changes, it's going to change back to whatever's in KDP. So you can play in Author Central, but then when you want to memorialize it, when you find your good blurb, then you put it in KDP. I recommend using Dave Chesson's description generator. You just you look at it, you can see it, you can wicker it, you can H3 it, and underline stuff, and then generate my code, copy, paste. It works. I like stuff that just works without dicking with them. So today we talked blurbs. We had a lot of blurb action. Bryan said he'd try to get back on this thread later and give some feedback on other blurbs that people shared. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for participating, everyone. Tomorrow we have Mal Cooper coming on for Eon 14, universe building. So all you little leaguers who are thinking world building, think universe building, a 30,000 year time span in the universe of Aeon 14. Mal Cooper will be joining us. Thank you very much, Bryan, for sharing your time with us, sharing your expertise, and helping people hopefully sharpen their tools, sharpen their game just a little bit to make tomorrow a little bit better than it was today.
You're welcome. Thanks, Craig, for having me on. It's been great seeing everybody today.
Peace, fellow humans. And we finished with 73. I think that might be a record that isn't me and Michael. Yesterday, I finished with 68. I had 78 during the show, and so it was pretty good. But Bryan Cohen rising to the challenge, showing adorable daughter, cute cat. And
that's what did it.
The props, man. You use the props to your benefit. Everybody have a good one.
Carrot Top over here.